I was told to let you know that the cookies that were received, the peanut butter ones, were against my wishes.
Oh.
I don't like sharing them.
Ah, well, I'll be sure to.
Make sure you enjoy them in my stead.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I tried a sugar. I had a sugar cookie, and it was delicious. And then I had the ones with that were packaged with this sugar cookie, and it had an egg. It had a subtle eggnog flavor. Is that right?
Um, yes. So I don't remember if they were supposed to be a subtle eggnog flavor, but I mean, just looking at the spice list, that's what it was. I don't remember what they were called originally. This is the first year she's made those.
Okay, they were good. I liked them.
But I think she decided she was going to call it like an egg log or something like that, or a nog log. I don't know.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, but yeah, they are most definitely. If they were not supposed to be, they accidentally became eggnog, basically cookies.
Is that the one that the rum extract was for?
It is.
Okay. So, what are your purple belt test thoughts? I feel like we talked about this.
I was trying to remember. I know that we mentioned it briefly when we were in person. I don't remember if we talked about it though. Apparently, so I just had some sporadic thoughts on it because it seems to be ever changing as he decides to kind of test people. So apparently I was the first one out of the group of people up for promotions to take the test, the purple belt test, not the, there were a couple of people who took their blue belt tests apparently already. And then I think this week there were 2 that tested so far, and I know of at least 3 more that are supposed to test. And there may be more than that. I don't know. But as we got through with mine, he said, "Okay, we'll let you know." And I was like, "Wait a minute! You let the other people know after they took the test." And so that seems to be a change that we find out during the seminar instead of ahead of time. But I don't see how that fits because supposedly you can retest if you don't. So I think by default that means I did. I don't know. So a lot of jumbled thoughts in general is all it really comes down to. But final just kind of thought process. I would be surprised if I don't pass, but I also could see why I may not, because like in the middle of it in a couple of places, there was one that I absolutely messed up on, and he said to show again, and I figured if I was going to do it incorrectly, I was going to commit to doing it incorrectly, and so I did it again incorrectly, intentionally so, and then one that I just kind of had to make up something on the spot because I couldn't think of what I had thought through in preparation. But neither one of those received any comments after it. So, and there were a number of times when he had me show something again just so he could see it from a better angle. So there wasn't necessarily anything inherently bad about him asking me to show the one move that I know I did wrong a second time. So we'll see. That's what it all comes down to.
And when is the seminar that you are expecting to find out?
January 11th.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. Not that far, you know.
No, and I guess why is there a gap between the testing and is there some amount why is there such a length of time between the test and the
So everybody who was up for a promotion that was announced as eligible to test has to test by the end of the month. And then promotions happen at the seminar. Okay. So the delay would be for them to order belts and do certificates and all that stuff, basically.
But I guess I don't understand why there's not you've passed.
Well, I mean, that's what the blue belts know right away. So when if you test for your blue belt, like the first person who tested knew right after they took the test. So that's why I said it seems like he's changing the rules on us as you go further up the belt progression based on what he sees fit after doing something. I don't know. Like one of the things that he told me after the fact, said what he forgot actually that until about halfway through, that for purple he was intending to have you teach the position that you're doing as well. I said, well, damn. I actually told him, what that would have made it easier on me because I default to the mindset of I need to execute flawlessly, not I need to show you step by step and take my time and, you know, so whatever. It is what it is.
I guess.
Glad to have it out of the way, and glad that my first test was not the next transition because that would have probably annoyed me more.
What's the next transition?
From purple to brown.
Okay.
And then from brown to black. But my understanding is they're not testing brown to black. That it's still just when they see you have earned it and surprising you with it in its entirety.
Gotcha. So kind of once you get there, you kind of get tapped.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I like that. So
I think so. I think so too, because it feels like that's a significant milestone.
Yeah.
It always seemed that black belt was any martial arts seemed like to be It would be fair to say like the first level of mastery.
In most martial arts, yes. You'll hear anybody who trains in jiu-jitsu talk about it very differently than I've heard it talked about in any other martial art, because there's so much variation and so much to learn that nobody thinks they've mastered the art in any way. Instead, it's I have these 2 or 3 things that I'm exceptional at doing, and I can get to them most of the time, and that's just kind of where you end up as a black belt, more or less. And sure, you have to know a lot more. Like, it's not that you can't go through your entire career, so to speak, without learning a lot of the other stuff. But if you were to ask any of the black belts on the mats if they're a master at anything, they might say 1 or 2 positions. That's kind of what it comes down to. I was actually talking to the head instructor, the one who does the testing, a couple of days ago. He's also a black belt in judo. And so we were talking about judo at the time. And he said there are roughly 44 distinctly different takedowns in judo. And of those, that you can call them additional techniques and make it 200 and something, but there are roughly 44 distinctly different moves, I guess you could say. And then all of the rest are variations of those moves. And he said, he's been training in judo for a long time. I don't remember how long, but he said that there are 6 that he thinks he's really good at. And of those 6, there are 5 that he thinks he's, really, really good at, but only 1 that he thinks he actually has mastered, that he feels unstoppable with that one technique.
Wow.
And you're talking 25 to 35 years. I don't remember how early he started judo, but he's almost 40, and I know he started jiu-jitsu under 5. So I would expect judo was a little bit after that.
Wow. That's some interesting perspective there.
And it makes sense. It's difficult to explain it to someone who doesn't train, because you don't really think about the nuances between some of the positions if you're not familiar enough with them to get it, I suppose. But kind of the easy example that I would point to, the standard full closed guard is if you're on your back with both of your legs locked around your opponent's waist. And you can do a bunch of different attacks, a bunch of different sweeps from that position, and you have that same thing from multiple other different positions. So you've got a half guard, which is different. You've got an open guard and a whole bunch of different other ones. Like we could go down a list of all these different guards. And so when you start thinking about you get good at one of these, then you kind of start to gravitate toward the one that you feel best in. And so the rest of the time is you finding ways to get to that one you feel best in. You know, it starts to make sense that, okay, 10 years, I probably will have a couple of positions that I feel really good in, but it's probably going to take me, 20 years to say that I've mastered to those positions to any real extent. And then if you start extrapolating that to how many different positions there are, it makes a lot more sense that you don't really hear anybody talk about they feel like they've mastered jiu-jitsu or are at a mastery level rank. Instead, it feels more like it's a milestone, yes, but it's a whole different kind of milestone, I guess.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It sounds more like it's like
you have a solid understanding of all the different things that go into the art, but you only have one or two things that you feel like you're really good at. That's probably a good way to.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like maybe it's the beginning of like I've mastered this one technique or this one move or this one or two, just like a couple of things where it's like I feel like I've mastered. Well, I've mastered one or two things in the practice.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it.
Yeah, and I think and I think that's a good way of thinking about a lot of things, and it's like because it doesn't I think if you talk to somebody who is for all intents and purposes you would say, oh, this person has mastered this, I feel like most people who say, yeah, there's still so much to learn though.
Yes.
In whatever discipline we're talking about.
I certainly have kept that mindset through most things tech-wise as well.
Yeah, same.
And I feel like I even outright said it a lot of times. But I think that maybe an even better way to think of it is that, yes, you have a certain level of mastery because you realize how much more you could master.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It probably sets the stage better.
It's like the more you learn, the more you find that there's so much that you don't know.
I know most of the black belts I've talked to have made the comment that it felt like you were a beginner again when you hit that level. Because, like, if you go to compete, you could be up against a black belt that has been a black belt the entire time you've trained. Because it's the black belt division encompasses so many years of training after you get there that it's just a whole different world.
Yeah, it tracks.
I dropped a couple of things in that were just interesting that I saw today, but I don't really have a lot to talk about them, so I'm going to do a quick speed round. I saw that the FCC did officially ban new equipment from DJI, and I think there was another Chinese drone manufacturer that was also affected. There is no legitimate competition to those drones from any other company, so it's kind of fucking ridiculous for anybody who relies on drones for any type of work. Thankfully, I have not done a lot of offering aerial services, and so I'm just going to be pickier because it's going to make it more difficult to get spare parts if something goes wrong. And that's really the only impact to me at this point. But we'll see what happens. I mean, there's going to be enough of an outcry because it affects a lot of different people and their livelihood.
It's a lot of industries.
Yeah. Especially when you think about a lot of the groups that rely on drones for inspections or for mapping out things at this point as well. So just another example of where our government is not on the same page with constituents, but we've seen that for a long time now anyway.
They're not even on the same page as what they say their end goal is. Yeah. It's like when you cut education, you cut science, and you want to be, technology leaders in the world.
Yeah, these things are mutually exclusive.
Yeah, I was going to say, explain to me how you expect that to work. So,
but I figured I would mention it just because it was, current, and I'm probably going to have more to say on it later. So this is the introduction and teaser.
Hopefully we get a taco out of this.
Yeah. The best Christmas present. Never mind. The other thing that I saw that was interesting is Ubiquiti announced a travel router today.
I saw your link. I saw that link. That looks really cool.
Did you ever see the teleport device that they released that would connect to the Amplify in a similar fashion?
I only had the teleport software, and I use it from time to time, but I didn't realize there was. I would not have recalled that there was hardware, but now that you mention it, I was like, oh yeah, I guess there was hardware.
Yeah, it was a Kickstarter, and it had a short run. It worked well enough, but
did you get it?
I did.
Okay.
And
does it still work?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't even know where it is anymore. I haven't used it long enough because when they released the software, it negated my need for traveling with the hardware. But I'm going to keep my eye on it because one of the things, I watched a quick video about the travel router, and one of the neat things is that if you have, the full setup with an NVR, you can actually take a camera with you and have it connect to the travel router, and it's recording back to your NVR, not locally on the travel router. So if I wanted to put a camera up in a hotel room, I could. I don't know what use I would really have for it, but it's just a good example of it would be a neat thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe an Airbnb would be more likely.
Here's a solution. Now I need a problem.
Yeah, exactly. But because I have a couple of spare of those wireless cameras, it would make sense to just, all right, I can grab the travel router and a camera, and I don't know, maybe if I were to go shoot something on location somewhere where I wanted to have the camera watch over my gear because I was concerned about it. There are a bunch of different use cases I can think of that would be interesting. But what I thought was real interesting was the fact that it actually records via a tunnel back to your local NVR at your base of operations, because that's a bit of a unique twist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I really have to say about it. It's not even available to order yet, so not until the 20th.
End of the month, yeah. It looks really cool. One of the things I wish, and there's this may be, I think that I'm trying to remember with whom they have a collaboration with, but I use ExpressVPN when I use a VPN, and I like it, but they have some collaboration with, I can't remember which company, but you can set up your VPN on your home. So instead of having it set up for like your phone and your computer and a tablet or whatever devices you have on the network, you can set it up on the router itself. And I can't remember which collaboration they have, but you set up your VPN so that the entire network is going through that VPN, and I thought that was really nice. And I looked to see if there was any support with Amplify, and there's not. And I sent a message. Customers. Went to the customer service page and sent an email to both ExpressVPN and Ubiquiti to find out if they had support for. Now I'm confusing. Is Unify or Ubiquiti the company name?
Ubiquiti is the company name.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Unify is the specific...
The line.
Yeah.
So, and Amplify is their consumer-grade router.
Yeah.
And I asked if there was any potential for that to be available on Amplify, and they both said no.
I do think they're phasing out the Amplify name.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Because I think there was something that they released under the Unify name that looked like it was essentially a at-home replacement. So it's like they're consolidating everything into the Unify branding, which would make sense.
Oh, so there will be a. I don't know that I knew I got the sense that they were I don't want to say getting rid of, but I got the sense that they were phasing out Amplify, and I didn't realize that they were going to replace it with another. What's the word am I looking for?
It doesn't look like it's going to be a direct replacement. It looks more like it's going to be a step up kind of replacement. So something that would be targeted at either homes or small businesses. So slightly more, I don't want to say robust, because the Amplify has been great from a hardware perspective, but slightly more pronounced.
Prosumer?
Maybe. Yeah, it's...
Well, I mean,
it's still the same general price target point. So,
okay. Do they have a device already, or no?
They did release a version of the unified Dream Machine thing that was, I think, targeted at that side. I gotta look. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Is it one of the Unify Express 7?
See, I don't remember. I never looked that low on the. I always look at the enterprise scale stuff. I don't.
That would be my
other stuff.
That would be my best guess. Sorta, but it's. But see, I can't even. I'm not even able to.
The Dream router.
I'm wrong. It's not that.
The Dream router would be what I would expect would be the home comparison at this point.
That makes sense.
And the cloud gateway would be. It would be more your small business size, because that would be a lot like the old USGs, which were the precursors to the Dream machines.
It's a good looking device.
Yeah.
The Dream Router 7. I'm assuming the 7 is for Wi-Fi 7?
Yes. Or at least I assume so.
Yeah.
That tends to be how the rest of their naming has been.
And that works. I was like, the display on the front is a lot smaller.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I do kind of miss from the Amplify line, which granted I wouldn't have one of these sitting up out on the entertainment center like I do the Amplify anyway, but
right.
I like using it as a little clock now that it doesn't serve any other functional purpose.
Yeah. I find it interesting that they have the Alien device, and it was meant to be a router for gaming. Yeah,
it was just a black Amplify. I mean, they changed the display a little bit, but there was no.
Oh, the form factor. I guess the hardware is the same inside, but the form factor is different.
Well, I'm sure there was a tweak to the hardware, but it wasn't anything that the non-gaming version couldn't handle. Like that was very much a marketing thing for the most part. There might have been a little bit of a tweak in how it handles like quality of service or something, maybe. Or maybe there was a faster CPU or a little more RAM.
It has Wi-Fi 6. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember there not being anything to justify it in my mind, price-wise, if you already had an Amplify.
Right. And it's about $50 more. Anyway.
I mean, to be fair, it did look neat, but...
No, it is really cool. I think it is a cool-looking device. It's supposed to have 2 times... They noticed on their website, they say it's got twice the coverage of the Amplify HD, and I can't tell what the capacity is significantly higher as well.
So it may just be more powerful radios, maybe what it comes down to.
Yeah, and which would get you Wi-Fi 6. It's got Wi-Fi 6 and 5 radios. So I was like, does Apple support Wi-Fi 6 yet?
I think so.
It's 7 that they're not yet supporting. Except for things with the N1 chip, maybe?
I was thinking the newest phones supported 7, but maybe not.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm not sure. If one of them supported it, it would be the Pro. But I don't remember. And I don't know where to find the tech specs anymore. Easily, that is. I wanted to tell you, before we go away from this topic, because I think it would be interesting to talk about Christmas topics, since even though this will come out after this release after Christmas, we are currently living in a world that is before Christmas,
and we don't normally record quite this close. So
yeah, we usually have this week off, and we do a double recording the week before, because one or both of us are. It's in our schedule is such that it's the best. What's the word I'm looking for? It's what our schedules require. Maybe that's how I want to say it. But I'm trying to remember what it was I was going to say.
I know it was something before we moved too far from the topic. While you think about it, some quick follow-up. The iPhone 16 and 17's Pro and Pro Max support Wi-Fi 7.
Okay. Do any of the Max?
Not that came up in the quick search, but I didn't go looking for the Mac specifics. I just searched for Apple Wi-Fi 7 support.
Yeah.
It does apparently also get supported in the non-Pro iPhone 17.
Makes sense. Oh, the M4 MacBook Pros and iPads with the M4 don't support Wi-Fi 7, so that's interesting.
So maybe with the M5s they will.
Yeah. And I don't remember what it was that I was gonna say. I bet if when I listen to the this release recording, and I remember, I will put it in the follow-up notes.
Sounds good. And if you remember before then, you can always interject. It's part of the fun of running the show.
Yeah. So I like the list of questions that you have for Christmas time.
I think the first one is one that always comes up in general. Other than movies, I don't know of anything entertainment-wise that I specifically change around the holidays.
Yeah, that's. So I want to, I know there's I like to make I used to not. I feel like I started this because I'm the first person that I know that's done this. But I used to say, and I did it with Die Hard, and this was over 20 years ago. I used to say Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and it kind of came up as a joke because I remember after 1 year after Thanksgiving, I was spending time with my, at the time, future in-laws. I was not yet married, and I remember my my girlfriend's mom saying, post Thanksgiving, eating leftovers. It was probably like the Friday after Thanksgiving, and somebody said, or she said, to me and at the time future brother-in-law, go pick a Christmas movie that we can watch, and we'll eat dinner down in the basement and watch a Christmas movie. So folks are heating up leftovers. We go down, and I look at my my girlfriend's brother Matt, and I say, Matt, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Let's watch Die Hard. And he was like all about it. And so everybody else comes down, and we've got Die Hard in the VCR. This is in the VCR, ready to go. And I hear, that's not a Christmas movie, and I was like, yes, it is. And so I maintained that Die Hard was a Christmas movie for a long, long time until it got popular to say that Die Hard was a Christmas movie. And then I was like, I'm too cool for this shit, and I decided to say that Die Hard is a movie that happens at Christmas time, because we all know there are more. At that time, it was not the case, but now there are more Die Hard movies that don't occur during Christmas than do.
So we could argue it, of course. I have plenty of arguments for why it is or isn't, just depending on which view I need to take. But if I'm not arguing I mean, you know me. But if I'm not arguing the point, I generally fall on it is a Christmas movie, even though you could change the fact that it takes place at Christmas and still have a movie. The fact that it's happening at Christmas is woven into the plot loosely. So you could change it to be, some other holiday. It could be Thanksgiving, or
It could be.
St. Patrick's Day. Any where you
it
typically have
doesn't even need a holiday.
Well, that's where I would disagree. It has to have some. It could be a celebration for something else, but
they don't have to have a celebration.
Well, they do, because that's the whole point of having the hostages in the building at a time when they could be taken in such a fashion.
I mean, it could be a party for the. It could be. I'm blanking on his name. It could have been his birthday.
It could have, but
it could be some. But
then you wouldn't have had a reason for McClane to travel from New York there. Like that's where holiday makes more sense, because it would be a reason for him to make the trip to attempt to have that interaction with family. So you need something for that part of the story.
To be fair, he was not going there for the party.
Correct. He was going, but he wouldn't have been going. He wouldn't have been going to the building for a party if it wasn't for the fact that it was around the holidays, because it just doesn't make sense.
I think you could. I think you could write something that makes as much sense.
Well, yes. If you're rewriting the thing, you can come up with a whole different thing.
No. I mean, you could. No. I mean, you could. Without using Christmas, you could have the exact same setup without using Christmas. There's a way to set it up without using Christmas as your backdrop. It's just Christmas is easier and it's more fun. Like I don't.
Christmas is what makes it easier to explain. One, him traveling and meeting her there instead of somewhere else, because you would expect some level of social interaction for a holiday event as opposed to a corporate event. Even if you could turn around and say, well, he had to go by way of the building in order to, have travel somewhere else because he didn't have accommodations. And,
to be fair, it is easier to explain having a spouse at a Christmas party than it would be to having a spouse come for a birthday party of the president of, he wasn't the president of the company. He was president of West Coast operations, I know, or U.S. operations, North American operations, whatever.
And it's easier to use Christmas for
a lot. It's easier to use Christmas for a lot of things, and it's natural. It is natural.
Well, I was just thinking the lackluster police response at first. The lackadaisical aspect. You have more of that around the holidays than you do, fair. Normal business operations.
That's fair.
You couldn't have the ho ho ho, now I have a machine gun portion if you didn't do it around
That is
Christmas.
Also true. Ho ho ho, happy birthday. No, that doesn't work at all. Takagi. I had the name that was eluding me. It was eluding me. It was Takagi.
But yes, you could theoretically still remake Die Hard and it not take place at Christmas, and you still have the same movie, or mostly the same movie. But because of the way those are intertwined is why I would tend to argue, it's a Christmas movie.
I was gonna say, I mean, I'd still pull out that it is a movie that happens at Christmas time. Christmas is, but it's just me being the same. When people weren't calling it a Christmas movie, I was, and now that people are, I'm not, and that's just me being a kind of a butt munch.
I mean, it's the same thing I do, so I appreciate it.
Yes. So that being the case, Hook is also a Christmas movie.
Sure.
No, no. I actually no, it's not. It does take place at Christmas time. That fits better the idea of that takes place at Christmas time, because they could have been going over there for, like Christmas is not integral to the story as it is in Die Hard.
Absolutely. But it's one of those that I also. I wouldn't argue it either way unless, again, I was trying to take an argument. Go ahead.
I was going to say it would be so much. It's so much easier to argue that Hook could happen any time of the year than like you just say it's summer vacation. That's all you have to say. They're going to England to visit Granny Wendy for summer vacation. That's all you have to say. And then whereas Die Hard, we had to go like, is it reasonable for him to come to the office party if it was Takagi's birthday? No, the Christmas party makes so much more sense. Whereas you don't have to do as much work for Hook.
And Die Hard 2 would be one that you could also remove the element of Christmas altogether, and it doesn't change the movie.
Right, because it takes place in...
It's just a busy airport.
Right.
I mean, it would have to be a higher travel time just to give you the...
It doesn't even, though. It doesn't even have to be higher.
It does because of the one area where they don't rope off the all the luggage and everything for a crime scene because he's talking about the volume, the traffic volume. So it would just have to be a semi-peak traffic season or period. But that doesn't have to be a holiday. It could just be summer,
Yeah. Well, and to go to the next Rennie Harlan movie, The Long Kiss Goodnight, also same sort of thing. It takes place during the holidays, but it didn't have to.
Yeah. And Lethal Weapon is another one. Takes place during Christmas, but could have... certainly didn't have to. There's nothing in it that's tied to the holiday. It's just the...
And Home Alone could have easily been a summer vacation.
Yeah.
So
Home Alone 2, I would say, is more of a Christmas movie than Home Alone. Only because of the toy store being done up for Christmas and being a Target.
I would agree with that. I'd agree with that.
I don't know that I would classify it as a... Well, I don't know, maybe, because there are some elements that they tied in with, like the Rockefeller Center and the tree and all. That it would be, you would require some modification to make it fit, but you could still rewrite it, similar to Die Hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Then again, if you're talking about rewriting it, I don't think you could not rewrite any movie and be able to take Christmas out of it, other than maybe A Christmas Carol.
Elf.
I think you could make it a summer movie.
Yeah, but the end requires Santa Claus to show up.
Does it really require it, or does it just require the thought?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Yeah, that wasn't one that I watched all the time. So,
yeah. A Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah, that one would be kind of tough.
Yeah, I think that would be difficult to do without Christmas.
Jingle All the Way would be difficult to do without Christmas.
I've never seen it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have it in my library, but it's a good film.
That's the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's one I would actually recommend if you have access to it somewhere, going and watching it over the time off.
I'll check that out. Last year I took my kids to see Red One in the theater, and that was fun.
I still haven't seen that one.
I always like to joke that are you sure it's not redone? Because the way the lettering is, I think the way they marketed it, there was always something in the space between red and one, and so I was like, redone.
I actually forgot about that one. I need to look it up at some point and watch it.
I think both my kids said they watched it again this year. Like, it's streaming somewhere. So, that was... I remember enjoying that. It was enjoying it more than I was expecting to.
The Santa Claus movies would be difficult to do.
The Santa Claus. Christmas. Okay, I watched. So I grew up. I was a teenager. Pretty sure, I was a teenager when the first one came out, and I never really noticed it until someone pointed it out, and now I can't unsee it. But like, the little boy is really whiny. But I liked it. I don't know. There was something I did enjoy about that movie, but I watched the second and third one 3 years ago when I had COVID, and I had it on when I was feeling good enough to actually do something but not good enough to do much. But I remember those not being as good as the first one, and the first one's not great.
Yeah, it should have been a one and done movie.
Yeah, well, I think probably one of the worst holiday movies I've seen was 8 Crazy Nights. I did not like that.
I have not seen that one.
Don't waste your time. It was so somehow being in an animated movie seemed like, oh, we can make more fart and poop jokes, and they just weren't funny to me. Whereas like I tend to like Adam Sandler movies and Adam Sandler humor. Like it's not highbrow at all, but I enjoy it. But somehow when they went animated, they went in the direction they took the humor was just not to my liking. I remember going to see that with a cousin of mine, and he and I saw it while our sisters saw, I think, the Santa Claus too. I think they were in the cinema at the same time. So, but as far as movies I do like, I have gotten to where I rotate through movies, and now I don't always watch the same Christmas movies at the same time. Christmas Vacation, that's a Christmas movie.
Yes.
Even though they do make other National Lampoon's fill in the blank vacation movies. Like that's I guess you could say because of that, you could, the discussion, the argument, it sort of makes my argument null for Die Hard based on that.
Not really, because if you try to take the Christmas out of Christmas Vacation, you don't have a movie that functions.
You have Summer Vacation.
Well, but the point is, you have a completely different.
It's a different movie.
It's a fully different rewrite.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fundamentally a different movie. So,
and actually, just rewatched Christmas Vacation today.
I saw bits and pieces of it over Thanksgiving. That's not one that I watch. I at this point, I don't think I have a Christmas movie that I watch every year.
I would say
used to.
The only one that I end up watching every year, well, yeah, no, the only one would be Charlie Brown's Christmas.
Okay.
And it's just because I grew up watching it every year, and so there's that bit of nostalgia that's just kind of nice to have it play. And it's short enough that it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I will say I grew up watching Charlie Brown Christmas, and I also watched the Garfield Christmas, and I love Garfield Christmas.
I don't think I've ever seen the Garfield Christmas.
I will upload it for you because it's a VHS rip. But yeah, it's like 20 minutes. At some point it got recorded, and actually I know when this happened, 1993. And the reason why I know so well that it's 1993 is that that year there were some really good Christmas cartoons. There was a couple of good Christmas cartoons that came on NBC like on a Tuesday night. One of them was The Town That Santa Forgot, which was narrated by Dick Van Dyke, and the whole cartoon was a poem. Like every
I remember that one. I haven't seen it in forever, but I do remember that one.
I will upload that for you as well, because I remember. So I watched that one, and it was followed by, and I'll go ahead and pre-apologize for the audio because there's a significant audio drift. But these are the only copies that I know about, and I haven't gone to look for additional copies in a while. But so they could have resurfaced on YouTube. But I remember watching The Town That Santa Forgot, and it was followed by The 12 Days of Christmas, which I wouldn't have expected to be interesting at all, but it was hilarious. And I think Phil Hartman might have been one of the vocals on that cartoon. I'm trying to remember if that's right or not. But that was a really clever cartoon because it took the 12 Days of Christmas, which don't make sense to me at all. I don't know the historical context of it, and it's never made sense, and I'm okay with that. And because that's a lot of birds. That is not
A lot of human trafficking at the end too.
fair enough. Unless it was just a presentation. I don't know, but that's a lot of fowl, and they turned it into a humorous story, and I like it. Did you? Because that came on after The Town That Santa Forgot. I don't know if you caught that as well.
I don't remember seeing it. Like it's something that's vaguely in my memory is hearing about it, but I do not remember watching it.
Yeah, I'll see if I can send them. I'll upload all three of these because they were good. But anyway, I don't think that I never saw them again. Never saw them on TV again. But I also wasn't exactly looking for them because I remember watching The Town That Santa Forgot and The 12 Days of Christmas and thinking, oh man, those were so good. They're like, I was not expecting them to be so. I was not expecting to be amused by them, and I don't know that they would hold up now. Like if you watch them, you'd be like, yeah, okay, I can see how 32 years ago that was pretty good, but I just wasn't expecting them to be so good, and I wasn't expecting to laugh as much as I did or be amused as much as I was, and I was like, and it's 1993, so in my 12-year-old mind, it's like, and they're gone forever. Like I have to wait until next year to see them again if they decide to show them. And for Christmas that year, my cousin Jason, gave all of the family. So his family had a copy. He's less than 2 years older. He's between our ages. He's 1980, born 1980. So we got a copy. I think he gave a copy to. Basically, he recorded a bunch of Christmas movies, and he happened to record The Town That Santa Forgot and The 12 Days of Christmas, and put them on a VHS, and they all played through. And it was two VHS cassettes, and then he took the covers and wrapped them in Christmas paper.
Nicely done.
Yeah, it was like that was really cool, and I just remember every household got a copy, and I thought that was really cool, and so like a week or two after, having watched those cartoons, it's like, here's a copy for you. And I was like, wow, cool. But I remember there were Christmas movies on there that I hadn't seen, and I'm pretty sure I still have those VHS cassettes. But I remember they were recorded, like there were some Christmas movies that were recorded from TBS. So there's all these TV ads. There are 1993 Christmas ads on TBS, and it's at this point it's kind of like a really cool throwback to go back on or at this point, like I think that I have a TV that would play video from a VCR. But I haven't ever done it. But I was just thinking, I was like, all those ads are on there. I'm sure there's a Timex ad. I'm sure there's a number of Black and Decker ads. Breville. I mean, these were like the gifts that people were buying other people for Christmas at the time. And but I remember I think that was the first place that I watched It's a Wonderful Life was from these cassettes. It's got the old black and white. I think it was black and white. There are several versions of A Christmas Carol. And I think I know an old one exists on this cassette. I think White Christmas is on those cassettes, but that's the only one I never watched. I've noticed that I still haven't seen It's White Christmas.
I always enjoyed Mickey's Christmas Carol as well.
Oh,
that was the other one that I watched.
I love Mickey's Christmas Carol.
I watched it this year.
Yep, I have it as well. Did you get it from the Sharing Project?
I'm not sure where I got it from, actually. I think I have the DVD somewhere.
Okay. I know that I ripped it at some point.
And I'm pretty sure I did at some point as well, because I know I had a long-standing membership to Disney's Movie Club when you were doing the
Yep, I had that too.
DVDs, and it would have easily been one that I've used as filler for an order somewhere.
Yep, I definitely had that as well. I did a quick look. There's a copy of A Christmas Carol from 1938 there was a recording of the 1938 release of A Christmas Carol, which had some names I remember hearing, but I didn't know that these were these people. I know the name Gene Lockhart, he portrayed Bob Cratchit, and I don't know where I heard it. It's very possible that I heard him mentioned in an episode of MASH, because that would have been something that they might have said, referenced an actor from the 30s. And I know that I don't think I've seen I didn't see the 1951 release or the 1951 remake of A Christmas Carol, but the 1938. And I do remember hearing that they did a miniseries 6 years ago, and Guy Pearce is in it. But I didn't see that one. Yeah, it's on Hulu. I remember hearing about it, but Guy Pearce is Scrooge, and I'd be interested in watching that.
I think I've seen both of the older versions. I know I've seen the 30s one.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I've seen the 50s one as well, but I didn't even know about the recent one.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it and thinking, "Oh, that looks good," but it hadn't. When they were marketing it, but I never saw it. But the one that I'm most familiar, the 1930s, the 1938, and the 1984 remake are the ones that I'm most familiar with. I know that the 1984 release is the one, or the remake is with George C. Scott portraying Scrooge.
Okay, I've seen that one as well. Then,
yeah. The only thing that takes me out of that, or the only thing that really dates it, is the Ghost of Christmas Past has like this wild electric 80s hairstyle. Like, think David Bowie from the Labyrinth kind of hairstyle. The Labyrinth? Was he in the Labyrinth?
He was in the Labyrinth.
Yeah. That hair, it was that kind of hairstyle. But otherwise, it's a solid telling of the story. I think what's interesting to me is like certain contextual things around these movies, because I remember the first time I watched it. So a lot of these things, I'm watching them because they were on TV, and I remember at some point it was the late 1980s. My parents had a VCR and they recorded it because back then that's what you did. That's what the VCR. It blows my mind that the VCR was not to rewatch home video. It was not for the home video market. It wasn't to create or support the home video market so much as it was to time shift. And so, because for me it was more about like I don't, I see time shifting as a secondary tool versus like watching home videos. And so our recording of that Christmas Carol was from television, and it was sponsored by IBM, and many of the cast members from MASH were in IBM ads that started every commercial break. Like Alan Alda, David Ogden Stiers, Loretta Swit. I'm blanking on the actor that portrayed Potter's name. Jamie Farr. I remember Jamie Farr, Gary Berghoff were all in it. So that's a memory associated with that movie that's very specific.
It's always fun, though. Like most of the time when I remember a movie, it's not actually tied to events around it unless it's later. Like the stuff that I remember growing up is typically the movie itself and not what was going on around it. Whereas as you start shifting into maybe late teenage, definitely early adult years, then there starts to be more of an intermingling. It's just, I assume it's because I was so enthralled with whatever I was watching, because growing up, we had the TV on all the time. So if it was something that I was watching, I was really interested in watching it. And I just assume it's a byproduct from that.
That makes sense. And in my case, a lot of these things, like the reason these ads are in my mind is because when I watched the movies that were recorded as well as the ads, they weren't. So like I saw the same, I either saw or fast forwarded through the same ads. And then when I realized, those actors were from MASH, I was like, oh, I like MASH. I want to watch the ad because like that's interesting to see them in a different context. So, there was something I thought I was going to say about the movie, but now it's no. Oh, I remember watching The Christmas Carol, and I was so confused. This is from, I mean, I guess this isn't both of them, but like I remember this specifically from the 1984 remake, and when the Ghost of Christmas Present shows, pulls back his robe, and there are two children underneath him, and I can't remember how he names them, but I was like, wait. I thought it was so. I remember thinking it was so scandalous because I was like, he's got children, he's not married, and not realizing that it was. I don't know if it was a metaphor. It was some sort of imagery. They weren't actually his children.
Normally I would say that doesn't make sense, but like knowing the upbringing and all, and the surrounding environment, like it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because it's the same kind of thing, like some of Taylor Tomlinson's jokes, where if I didn't know the background, some of them wouldn't be near as funny until you think about it in that context. Because I didn't have that. So like my first thought was never anything remotely close to it being scandalous because he's not married.
Right.
It's just hilarious to think about those little nuances in reactions to the same story, I guess, for lack of where else to take that. But it's funny and interesting, and not funny and maybe not as interesting to other people, but I find it funny and interesting. So
yeah. Well, and what's interesting? Another thing that's kind of interesting to me is, I don't, I just remember feeling like, I wasn't getting. It's like I can't remember what he calls them, and I was trying to look to see what, the actors that portrayed them so that I could remember what he calls them, but they don't seem to be in the credits. So anyway, they're not real names. I think like they're like greed and vanity. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is specifically, but you're right. It's more specific, like attachment and representation of specific traits than it is people, as far as what they're meant to convey.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I want. I was like, this would be an easy thing to look up. So, ignorance and want. That's what he calls them. It's a boy named Ignorance and a girl named Want. So they are his children. They represent the social ills of poverty and the lack of education, which I kind of wanted to. I wanted to mention this, and we'll actually go back to answering the actual question. But there is, I don't know if you've seen on social media going around. Someone has put together. They have adjusted for inflation and converted to U.S. dollars Bob Cratchit's salary.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Yeah, and I was like,
just in case somebody listening hasn't caught wind of it, the gist is that Cratchit made a couple of shillings a week, and adjusted
15 shillings a week.
Yeah, and adjusted for inflation, it's more than minimum wage currently by a significant margin. And so the irony is that Dickens, of course, was making a statement about wages in general, and were below those wages by a significant margin in the modern era.
Yeah. So I think what is minimum wage is $7.50 in the U.S.
Something like that, and adjusted for inflation, it's like 15 something, right? So it's like double plus.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's like one of the estimates that Bob Cratchit's salary was making over $20 an hour, which is not, that's that's before Scrooge has a change of heart after the three ghosts visit him, and I don't know if you caught this or not, but there was also, I've seen less references. I've only seen one person discussing this, but somebody has, like, you look at Tiny Tim's ailments. He's got some breathing issues, and he has some walking, some issues with walking. He's, has some sort of crippling problem. So he has difficulty walking. He requires a crutch. And in the story, it says that if nothing changes, he won't make it to next Christmas. Like, he's going to die. And then, that pulls at Scrooge's heartstrings, and as rickety and rusty as they were, and the only thing that really changes in Bob Cratchit's life is that he gets a raise and he's made a partner. I guess we all assumed that now he had access to healthcare, but some. So looking at the historical context, there were some doctors that there was a doctor that was like, he Tiny Tim very likely had tuberculosis and rickets, and rickets is caused by malnutrition, and simply Bob Cratchit earning more money would have resolved both of the issues related to Tiny Tim's conditions. And I found that really interesting.
I have not seen that one. I have heard the thought that rickets was what they were attempting to portray. I had not heard tuberculosis being mixed in, but it makes sense.
Yeah. If I can find that again, I'll do follow up for next week. But I was just like, let's, the rickets alone is like, he just needed to get good, nutrient. He was malnourished. Like, yeah. Tiny Tim was going to die from malnourishment. Anyway, I'm not sure what my favorite holiday movie is.
I don't think it has to be a favorite holiday movie per se, as much as it is something that you repeatedly like to go back to during the holidays. Oh. And I say it that way because, like, I enjoy the Lord of the Rings saga anytime I can watch it, but I always have to watch it during this time of year.
I was gonna bring that up because you'd mentioned that you mentioned that the other day when we got coffees, and I totally understand that because it turned into a Christmas time event because all three of them were released in December in the United States, or at least the wide release was in December in the United States, and consequently, it was like I went to go see the Lord of the Rings at all three of them during the Christmas time. All the Christmas things were going on, and made a point to go see all three of those movies. I know I saw The Return of the King before. I saw it on opening night, and then I saw it after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year, that week between Christmas and New Year's. Because I wanted to go again with additional. I went with my girlfriend at the time, and then I went with friends after that. So,
well, the other thing that, and part of why I think it was released the way it was, technically the Fellowship departs Rivendell on the 25th.
Oh, I didn't quite realize that.
Yeah,
because Rivendell. Well,
so the start of the quest is Christmas Day, essentially.
I don't think I ever put that together, and because how would you portray that in the movies? And because they don't even do, it's unclear how long, because I know that the quest actually takes it's over a year, and that's not necessarily something it's sort of omitted. It's like you're left to sort that out or know that if you know the material, but it wasn't important to the telling in the movie.
In the movie, the only thing I remember about timeline is on the return. I think the line is that it is 13 months to the day when they re-enter the Shire.
Okay, so they do mention it. So,
yeah. But they don't mention. But the departure date is only something you would know from
Yeah.
The material.
Right. Those were good.
Yeah, we already watched them all for this season, and I saw more interest from my offspring this time than ever before. I don't know if I finally have won that particular battle or not, so we'll see. Was not interested in the Fellowship of the Ring, but he got more interested in the Two Towers and in Return of the King while they were playing.
Interesting.
So we'll see. There was at least enough interest for me to think, okay, maybe he'll see the light at some point in the future.
Both of mine are in the process of reading Tolkien. I think they're both reading The Hobbit, if I'm not mistaken. But they have plans to read Lord of the trilogy.
So for Christmas, one of the gifts is the illustrated version of The Hobbit. So we'll see if that also helps.
You've got the animated.
Yeah.
The late 70s, from the 70s, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I got my kids to watch that, and there was not a lot of fanfare. But I hadn't watched Die Hard in a few Christmases, and we watched Die Hard together this year, and they really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we're probably still a couple of years out from me.
Well, I was just gonna say, like last year, like I kept thinking, is it gonna be like maybe the last 3 years? I was like, I would get to December and like, this is not the year. Last year, same thing. Last year was the last year. I was like, this is not the year. And when my younger son was like, hey, I want to show you this anime that I'm watching. I was like, you're watching anime? He's like, yeah, it's called Demon Slayer. And I'm like watching it. I was like, I remember that was like maybe in October that he showed it to me. And I'm like, I remember in my head, I made a note. I was like, I think he's ready to watch Die Hard. Yeah, and he was ready to watch Die Hard, and he was ready to watch Stranger Things. He does ask me for like trigger alerts. So, spoiler: when Takagi gets shot in the head, I did let him know. I was like, "Here's you probably won't want to see this part." But that was the only part. That was the only thing in the movie that I told him not. I thought he'd have like an issue with. But I think it was like the first time both of them had seen. I know it was the first time they had seen an 80s rated R movie, because there's a specific look to the violence in an 80s rated R movie. Yeah,
there's the funny thing is I remember it seeming so much more realistic at the time. Like
it doesn't seem as realistic as it did when I was younger.
Yeah. But it did age well for the most part. Some of it didn't.
Yes.
Some of it was just horrible, but most of it actually
holds up
pretty well. Yeah,
it holds up. I actually for the first time, and now I can't even remember what the character's name, but it's Carl's brother. At the beginning of the movie, he is cutting into wires and clipping into things, and Carl comes in and pulls out the chainsaw and starts cutting things, and he just quickly completes what he's having to do. And I think, tell me if this makes sense to you. I don't know if you know exactly what it is he's doing, but what I think he's doing is so his brother comes in and cuts all the phone lines, but I think he is bypassing security. He's bypassing something, and I can't remember exactly what it is.
So the way I understand what they were attempting to portray is that some security systems would monitor for like phone outage or dial tone on certain lines. And if they were cut, send an emergency signal on other lines. So you had a dedicated incoming, dedicated outgoing set of wires. And so what he was doing is finding the associated outgoing wires and cutting them so that no signal could be sent when the other wires were severed.
Yes. Yeah, that That's where I was getting, but I didn't quite.
And I know that particular type of operation worked. What I don't know is if the portrayal was actually realistic for doing that type of bypass. I assume so, because it makes sense to me logically.
Yeah.
But it may or may not have been that straightforward, like anything else portrayed in a movie.
Right. I think so when watching this movie, I was like, I definitely know what my favorite line in this movie is. And it's after they blow up the top of the building and the helicopters crash, the deputy chief of police says, I think we're gonna need some more FBI guys. That's my favorite line of the movie. That was so good.
Yeah, there are a lot of lines out of that, the first couple of films, that actually, when you go back and watch, just really good writing, and you forget about them so quickly. Like the whole interplay with it being Smith and Smith, or no, Johnson and Johnson.
Yes, that was hilarious. I noticed that this time as well. I was like, the Johnson and Johnson, and when he goes, no relation. Yeah, which is hilarious because one of them's black and one of them's white. It's like, of course not.
And yeah, I mean, just it's all around a fun movie. I did also consider watching it and having the thought process of is he old enough in general for some of the subject matter, or is he not? And like, what is it that would be problematic and everything else? And so I thought about having the first part of it play so that there was some exposure to the plane and the arrival and everything else prior to the actual seizing of Nakatomi. But then I thought, well, what's the point? Because then, like, it's not even an interesting movie, You have to get past that point. And then that's really kind of where I would cut it off at the moment. And I'm pretty damn forgiving with subject matter at different age groups. So it's kind of funny that this is one that still is a little bit questionable for me. And it's not for any of the violence specifically. Because he has watched me play Ghost of Yotei on the PlayStation, and it's a violent video game.
Somehow it's different.
It is, because it's the game is so over the top that there's not really a sense of realism. And I think that's what has stopped me from having like diehard play.
Because it's a little bit closer to...
It is. It's more like something that he might draw a parallel to with a concern, But I do think I don't think it'll be next year, just knowing where we are now as opposed to, the way he generally has aged so far.
Yeah.
But I do think we're getting close. It'd probably be the year after that, I would expect. If not, that would certainly be the last time that I would postpone.
That's yeah. I had the same thoughts. I thought. For me, I thought it was going to be last year, and it was this year. So,
which actually, I've had the same thoughts. So, Harry Potter is another one that we typically end up watching around the holidays, at least some.
I mean, because it has, they portray Christmas in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least in the first ones.
And
first two or I don't. Yeah, three.
First two.
I think they do. I know the first two for sure, and I think the third one they do. It's Christmas as well. They do Christmas there, and in 6 they do portray Christmas in 6 because, anyway, keep going.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, one of the things that has come to mind is the first 3 really not a huge concern, but then the fourth one we started having that thought of, does this get into or start to turn dark enough that I'd be concerned about him at the moment?
The book, yes. The movie, absolutely not. The movie is such utter garbage.
Well, and so this is where the conversation came in, though, because the original conversation was about the books very specifically. And so because we haven't settled the debate on the books, it's like, well, I don't want to ruin the book for him if he decides to read it. So, okay, I'll stop at the third one for now, and the other ones we'll watch just after he goes to bed. Which actually I haven't even bothered to watch because I don't care to watch them that often anyway. But the first couple I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, so I love The Prisoner of Azkaban, even though it's got. So there's some continuity things that used to bother me that, I'm like, oh, this is movie making. This is, but like, because the first two, they're Chris Columbus, who, made one of the best Christmas movies ever, Home Alone and Home Alone 2. And he directed the first two Harry Potter movies. And I think he did a great job portraying the Christmas part, because like I remember reading the books and thinking it was great. And I actually really love how Rowling did the story, because it was like you had I keep wanting to say the Philosopher's Stone, because I know that's what it's called in every other English speaking country, and now I can't remember what it's called in the United States.
It's the Sorcerer's Stone of the United States.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know why, because I've never read the Philosopher's Stone. I've only read the Sorcerer's Stone. But I was blanking on that. But you had that, and then you basically repeat that same formula. She's got the same formula. And then third book, same formula. It's like the characters are so interesting, and it is advancing the story, even though this is, year 1, year 2, year 3, it's the same formula. But by the time you get to the end of The Prisoner of Azkaban, there's a little time heist that's, they throw in there that's different from the first two books. But then the opening chapter of book 4 is so beautifully dark. I was just like, whoa, this is good. I came to book 4 expecting the same formula, the same treatment, and we get into that, but it starts differently. You get an opening course that you weren't expecting, and I'm just like, this is good. And then they went and fucked it up so bad when they portrayed it in the movie. It is so campy and so stupid. I actually
tell me how you really feel, John.
Yeah, I know, right? I apologize. I don't mean to be sending mixed signals here, but I do now look forward to seeing how they portray that in
the remake.
The remake, yeah.
So speaking of, I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to any of the news around the remake, but I've seen a couple of really small blurbs. The only question I have, do you know when the anticipated launch is? Have you caught wind of that? Like, is it a 2027 thing, or are we actually thinking next year?
I think it's 2027.
That would have been my guess without paying attention, just based on kind of timeline of where things were for the little blurbs that I heard. But that's why I was curious if you'd heard any update.
Yeah. So I know I'd heard the date, and it is 2027. I just looked at it. It was supposed to be 2024, but it shifted to they're expecting early 2027 for the first season, and it's 8 episodes. I'm curious to see how. I wonder, like, are they planning to do 7 seasons? Maybe.
I would expect so.
That's what I would expect too. And then it's like, okay, you can get into more stuff. If it's 8 1 hour, if it's an 8-hour movie, because that's kind of what TV shows are now. It's like, do you want to watch an 8-hour movie? No. Do you want to watch Do you want to watch a TV show that's 8 episodes, 1 hour each, and without stopping? Absolutely.
Yeah, this is one of the things that always I hate when I hear the references, because it's like, I have to know more. Like, you could ask me if I want to watch an 8-hour movie, and I'd say, okay, well, what's the subject matter?
Right.
Because an 8-hour Lord of the Rings movie, sure, I'm on board.
I mean, we're not that far off.
Well, you know what I mean, like an 8-hour Fellowship of the Ring instead.
I know.
Yeah, but an 8-hour Harry Potter movie, I don't know. You got to sell me on it a bit more. An
Yeah,
8-hour Star Wars movie, no, I have no interest.
yeah. But will you watch? Will you watch? See, that's the thing with what's great about the episodic TV shows, and that's like okay, like I can spend 2 hours watching 2 episodes, and then it's like I'm watching 4 different movies.
Well, and to take my example further, okay, well, how about a TV show about Obi-Wan that's 8 hours split up into 8 episodes? Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I'll give it a shot.
yeah. Did you see who's cast? Notable actors cast in the remake.
I have not paid that much attention. The only thing that I saw blurb-wise, I saw the blurb that was being done that had a rough timeline that I was trying to remember, and then I saw where Daniel Radcliffe sent a letter to whoever was cast as Harry Potter.
Oh, that's nice. I hope it's a nice letter.
Well, it sounded like it was nice.
Yeah.
I didn't read any of the context, but like
I would expect
Radcliffe
that.
and the other actor both were very happy about the interaction. So
Yeah, that's what I would. That's where my head went. But there are two names that I recognize that I think are really I think kind of exciting, and that is John Lithgow is portraying Albus Dumbledore and Nick Frost is portraying Hagrid, and I think those are good fits.
I think so. Like my initial thoughts are positive. I don't have any like gut check feelings about either one, other than both seem fine. Like
I mean,
my one thing with Dumbledore,
Lithgow has a decent range.
yeah, for sure. My big thing with Dumbledore is I just don't know that I have a good picture of how I really want him to be. You know what I mean? Like any portrayal could be fine. You just have to sell it in your acting, and it's not a big deal. But I don't have an actor that I specifically think of when I think of him. Whereas, if you think about like Gandalf and Ian McKellen at this point, like, should be synonymous, or Saruman and Christopher Lee. There's just not somebody that for me has a way that I've seen them with makeup and wardrobe and everything else that is, all right, yep, I'm sold. Nobody else can play that actor for me or play that character for me.
But it's not for me. It's not that nobody can play that character for me, because like I like when I saw that Lithgow was portraying Dumbledore, I was like, oh, that's exciting. Like, to me, that's interesting. But it's been, even it's been Michael Gambon in my head, for a long, long time, and even to the effect that like I saw the first 2 movies before the third movie came out. And I didn't think the portrayal of Dumbledore, and this was before I don't think I had read the books yet, and I just didn't care for Dumbledore. And then when people were like disappointed that the actor that portrayed Dumbledore in the first 2 movies couldn't portray him in the remaining movies because he passed away, I was like, I didn't think there was anything particularly special about his portrayal. And I didn't really think, now having read all of the books, watched all the movies, and seen the Michael Gambon's his portrayal, I think that like to me that's when I was reading the books, that's who was in my head, because I was watching, I'd read the book, watch the movie, read the book, watch the movie, and so like in my head I was like it was Gambon.
Yeah, I shouldn't say it is like somebody couldn't necessarily portray him again, but it's more that I don't have that strong reaction to, yes, that actor, that character. Hugh Jackman and Wolverine would be a similar type response. Like it's not that nobody can ever play him, but I really, you have to sell me on somebody else playing it.
Right, or everyone's gonna you're gonna until somebody does something, you're gonna measure against the Hugh Jackman.
Right, and I don't have that for Dumbledore. It's
right.
I have no qualms with the casting at all at any point, even with the concept of Lithgow taking over, and I think it could be interesting, but nobody has portrayed it in a way that has cemented that portrayal as a standard by which all others will be judged.
Well, for me, the movie the remake that comes to mind that was, I thought was like, there's nobody that could portray this character, was the remake of The Karate Kid. There's Pat Morita. Pat Morita is the only. I almost called him Moriarty. Pat Morita is the only Miyagi, and then I heard Jackie Chan. I'm like, oh wait, he could actually do something with that. Like, he could actually be a great Miyagi.
Well, I think part of why The Karate Kid did so well is they didn't cast him as Miyagi. Miyagi role.
I didn't watch it though.
Yeah, it was the Miyagi role,
right?
But it was a different name.
Okay, I didn't realize that. But he was, for all intents and purposes, he was Miyagi.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's part of. I think the reason they made that decision was because Pat Morita was so synonymous with Miyagi that it was difficult to look past that and give a character the benefit of the doubt. Whereas I love Jackie Chan. I have nothing but the utmost respect for him and love everything he does. But if you tried to make him the same Miyagi, I would have had a little bit more difficulty enjoying the movie. Not saying that I would have found it bad. There would have created some friction that didn't need to be there.
See, I haven't seen it, and so I didn't realize that he was playing. It was the Miyagi,
it's
mentor.
A lot like.
But I was just gonna say, when I heard that, I was like, oh, he could actually. I think he could actually portray Miyagi and do it in the right spirit. It would be his own portrayal, but it would be in the right. I think it would be a good. I don't think it would do any disservice to Morita's Miyagi.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I have seen them. And it's beneficial that they didn't have him be Miyagi because of the newest film. I don't remember what they called it, because it wasn't the next Karate Kid, because that was actually done back after.
That was with Hilary Swank.
Yes.
I didn't see that one.
I have all of them in Plex except for the newest one. Like, you could certainly catch up on them if you decided to. The newest one, I think, is a Netflix thing, but I don't remember the name of it. But either way, because of I shouldn't say because of. I assume that because of the popularity of the Cobra Kai series, they decided to do the newest movie, the way they did, where Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Han. That's what Jackie Chan's character's last name is Han. I had to think about it. But those two meet up and train the kid that's in the movie, and they have a backstory about how Han and Miyagi's stories are intertwined.
Oh, I kind of want to know how that works out.
I thought it was done well. I really did enjoy it more than I thought I would. And I enjoyed the Cobra Kai series a lot more than I thought I would.
So I jumped on the Cobra Kai series when it was still on YouTube. And I watched the first season, and because the first season was on YouTube, I think the second season, it's not. I know it definitely before the third season was even in. I think even before it was in pre-production. Netflix, YouTube, Alphabet or Google or YouTube. I don't know. I'm not sure. Ultimately, it's Alphabet got out of the. We're not going to be a production company at all, and. Sold it to Netflix. It might have been the second season, before the second season was released. It was like the second season might have been in post-production when Netflix bought it. I'm pretty sure it was, because anyway, doesn't matter. I saw the episode with Allie with an I, and I know I watched on beyond that, but I haven't watched. I think there's only 3 seasons, right?
No, there's.
I didn't watch after the second season. I haven't watched after. I just I haven't moved it up my priority list.
I'm trying to remember how many seasons they did, because they split the last season into two halves.
Oh man.
I mean, all of it has been released at this point, so it doesn't matter.
I knew the run was over, but just the first show that did that splitting of the last season was Breaking Bad, and there's a whole year between the first and second parts of season 5, and it was just like, that was excessive. Now what Netflix has done Netflix has split seasons, like they split season 4 and season 5 of Stranger Things, but it was a month.
All right, so there are 6 seasons.
Oh,
the 6th season, and this is why I was confused, because I was thinking in my head there was a 7th, but there was not. 6 seasons, with the 6th season split into 3 parts. So it was 3 5 episode sections.
Oh, and there was a decent wait in between each one.
But again, all of it is now available. So
yeah, and the last split was like at the beginning. The last 5 episodes were released at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, and so I didn't actually watch them until I think season 5 had just been released when I decided to finally watch them. And I think it, like in my mind, each of the sections of season 6 felt like okay, I don't necessarily want to stop here, but it doesn't feel like you're trying to drag it out. It feels more like you wanted to get this section of the story done because the next section can be its own kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but it didn't
does.
feel like it was a problem in the moment, I guess.
It's 3 acts.
Yeah.
It's 3 acts, and they are released, with some time between them. And I think Netflix has really, I think they've done a good job with that, because it's kind of how I have been watching TV shows that release on a weekly schedule. So I was actually watching Matlock, and which it was good. It's been good. And I think this is Kathy Bates. I think I read that this is Kathy Bates. She's retiring from acting after this show. But that's a show that's on network TV. It's on CBS, and they release, there's a new episode every week. And so we waited to watch basically the first half, because the first, I think it's 4 episodes or 5 episodes. I don't remember. Maybe it's 8. It might be a 16 season, which seems long now. But it used to be the shows were like 24 episodes. So anyway, we watched the first 8. We waited until all 8 of them so we could watch them at our pace. So I think over the course of 3 or 4 nights we watched the 8 episodes, and so now I think the 9th episode won't release until February, and so we'll probably wait until May when the show is run to watch the second half. And I feel like Netflix has done a similar sort of thing. They'll release episodes with like a month or 2 in between.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether, well, I guess it'll be first interesting to see how the buyout war between Netflix and Warner, not Warner,
Paramount.
How that ends up going.
And they just merged with Skydance.
Well, and the last I heard was that the hostile takeover attempt was rejected.
Because it turned out to not be as good a deal as it might have seemed.
And so at the moment, Netflix is still primed to purchase Warner and its associated things. But where I was going with my statement is HBO is still one that, like with Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and everything else, they would release weekly, just for whatever period they were releasing. It'll be interesting to see if the distribution strategy changes, assuming Netflix is successful in their purchase.
Oh, I bet it will.
I would expect so too. But at the same time, I could see maybe trying to
maybe not in the beginning.
Well, like if I were thinking about Netflix as a whole, the only property out of the Warner catalog that I might try to make a distinct brand identity would be HBO and bring it back to its heyday of what HBO means. And so I'd be curious if there's any thought of that, or if it's just, you know what, let's unify all of it under Netflix.
Yeah. So are you talking about in sense of like Netflix offering two different services, kind of the way Disney offers Disney Plus and Hulu? And
I don't think they would do two different services. I mean,
Okay.
you could, but I would think it would be like a separately branded subsection of the Netflix app.
Okay.
And, you know, trying to retain some element of the HBO.
I mean, HBO
branding.
means something.
It
Like,
does.
It's not nothing.
And that's the only reason that I'm curious how it's going to shake out. Like if you were to take HBO out of the mix, I would assume everything just gets wrapped into Netflix.
Yeah, I think all of Warner Brothers IP becomes Netflix IP, and you know you'll still see the Shield and with the WB on it, but the HBO specific, you know, HBO has specific shows, and I you know, does the static go away, or is there a Netflix static? You know,
You could also make the case that they might actually decide to maintain an additional premium service.
yeah.
Like HBO could be a add-on to your basic Netflix subscription.
Oh, we're going back to this model again?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh man, dude, it's
Would it surprise you? I mean, realistically,
no, it wouldn't, because right now, well, for quite some, you know, for the past 20 years, corporate America has been trying to squeeze as much money out of the stone as they possibly can. So, and they're squeezing harder and harder and harder. And
I mean, I do think that if it proceeds, they have the once in a lifetime opportunity to make a huge statement and say, we're going to give you all of our associated IP for this one like lower rate and really attract buy-in. But of course, that's too logical from a customer retention standpoint, so it's never going to happen.
right, because it's not about customer service. It's about that 0.2%. Yeah, it's about getting as many subscriptions as possible. Yeah.
But anyway, not to derail the conversation.
No, at this point, it's like I kind of want to see what they do. Like what? How do they roll these things in? Like what happens?
Yeah,
like I'm just kind of like, because I don't know that have we seen a streaming service buy another streaming service that are like, because like HBO Max is one of the larger streaming services, I think.
We have not seen
catalog. Yeah,
we have not seen
new
anything
territory
on this scale.
Yeah,
there I'm sure there's been, like, if you think about a lot of the really small niche services, I'm sure there's been some absorption here and there. And I know that, like, I think it's Hulu that was, or Disney, in the process of buying Fubo. I don't remember if that actually went through or not. That would have been probably the largest one prior to this, because Fubo is not necessarily an unknown, but it's also not huge.
I don't think there's much overlap between the customer base of Hulu and Fubo.
Right.
Whereas I think there's a lot more overlap between Netflix subscribers and HBO Max subscribers.
Yeah, I would expect so.
Yeah. So I'm just, it's funny. HBO is like, we're not going to renew Sesame Street. Netflix is like, we'll buy Sesame Street. Hey, guess what? We're going to go ahead and just buy HBO.
Yeah, you got to look out for Elmo.
Elmo's pulling the strings in the background. He's like, Elmo wants to stay on HBO. We have a number of different ways set up for you to get in touch with us to provide feedback, ask questions, or just comment in about something we've discussed.
You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at untitled_hosts, or shoot an email over to untitled.hosts@gmail.com.
or get in touch directly with Jesse at jthart.com, or get in touch with me, John, via telepathy.
If you would like to support our work or are interested in listening to our new after show feed, head over to patreon.com/theUntitledPodcast and take a look at the options we have set up.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed the show.
And we hope to connect with more of you as we continue this journey.
That's a wrap.